Java, an island smaller than Florida, yet home to nearly 150 million people. But beyond its bustling cities lies a world of wonder that few travelers truly discover. Welcome to Indonesia's cultural heartland, where ancient temples rise from misty jungles, blue flames dance across volcanic craters, and traditions dating back centuries continue to thrive. Have you ever watched the sun rise over a sea of clouds, with volcanic peaks piercing through like islands in the sky, or descended into a turquoise crater lake surrounded by walls of sulfur? These aren't scenes from another planet. They're right here on Java, waiting to be explored. In this journey, we'll venture beyond the tourist trails to discover Java's most breathtaking natural landscapes, ancient architectural marvels, and living cultural traditions. From the otherworldly beauty of Mount Bromo to the largest Buddhist temple on Earth, from hidden waterfalls to colonial time capsules, prepare to see Indonesia's most populous island in an entirely new light. So join us as we uncover the hidden wonders of Java, a land where the extraordinary becomes everyday and where travelers can still find genuine adventure. By the end of our journey, you might just be planning your next great escape to this remarkable Indonesian island. Java sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a fact that has shaped both its landscape and the lives of its people for thousands of years. The island is home to 45 active volcanoes, more than any other island on Earth. These aren't just geological features, they're living, breathing mountains that have created some of the most spectacular scenery you'll find anywhere in the world. Let's begin our volcanic journey at what might be Java's most iconic natural wonder, Bromo-Tengger-Semeru National Park. Mount Bromo rises from the center of a vast caldera known as the Sea of Sand, a landscape so otherworldly it feels like stepping onto another planet. The volcano is actually part of the larger Tengger Massif, which contains 5 volcanoes set within an ancient caldera spanning 10 kilometers. The quintessential experience here is watching the sunrise from Mount Penanjakan. As first light breaks over the horizon, it gradually illuminates the vast caldera below, with Mount Bromo and the perfectly conical Mount Semeru emerging from a blanket of mist. Semeru, Java's highest peak at 3,676 meters, frequently puffs plumes of white smoke into the sky, a gentle reminder of the powerful forces at work beneath your feet. After sunrise, many travelers descend to cross the Sea of Sand, a vast plain of fine volcanic ash. Local Tenggerese horsemen offer rides across this lunar landscape, their colorfully decorated horses creating a striking contrast against the monochrome backdrop. The journey culminates with a climb up the steep stairs to Bromo's crater rim, where you can peer into the smoking heart of the volcano. What makes this experience truly special isn't just the dramatic scenery, but also its cultural significance. The Tenggerese people, who live in villages scattered around the caldera, believe the volcanoes are sacred. Each year they hold the Kasada ceremony, where they throw offerings of food, livestock and money into Bromo's crater to appease the mountain gods. This living tradition connects modern visitors to centuries of human reverence for these powerful natural features. But Java's volcanic wonders extend far beyond Bromo. Travel east to the far edge of the island, and you'll encounter one of nature's most unusual spectacles at Mount Ijen. This volcano contains a 1-kilometer-wide crater lake filled with turquoise water. But what makes Ijen truly remarkable is what happens after dark. When night falls, an extraordinary phenomenon occurs. Ijen is home to what locals call blue fire or blue flames. Sulfuric gas emerging from cracks in the volcano ignites upon contact with air, creating rivers of electric blue flame that flow down the mountain slopes. This eerie spectacle can only be seen in 2 places on Earth, with Ijen offering the most accessible viewing. Reaching the blue fire requires a challenging pre-dawn hike, followed by a steep descent into the crater. Along the way, you'll likely encounter sulfur miners who extract the valuable yellow mineral from the volcano's depths. These men carry loads of up to 90 kilograms on their shoulders, navigating treacherous terrain for a modest income. Their presence offers a sobering reminder of how the volcanoes are not just tourist attractions, but integral to local livelihoods. As dawn breaks at Ijen, the blue flames recede, but a new spectacle emerges. The first rays of sunlight illuminate the crater lake, revealing its surreal turquoise color, created by its extremely high acidity and dissolved minerals. The lake is believed to be the largest highly acidic lake in the world, with a pH less than 0.3, making it more acidic than battery acid. Despite its toxic nature, the visual beauty of this alien landscape leaves visitors spellbound. Moving towards central Java, we find Mount Merapi, one of the world's most active volcanoes. Its name literally means mountain of fire in Javanese, and it has earned this title through centuries of dramatic eruptions. The most recent major eruption in 2010 claimed hundreds of lives and displaced thousands, yet people continue to live on its fertile slopes. Why would communities choose to remain in such a dangerous location? The answer lies in the remarkable fertility of volcanic soil. Farmers on Merapi's slopes can harvest 3 or 4 crops annually, compared to just 1 or 2 in other regions. This agricultural abundance has created a cycle of destruction and rebirth that has defined life around Java's volcanoes for millennia. For visitors, Merapi offers hiking opportunities with incomparable views across central Java. On clear days, you can even spot the ancient temples of Borobudur and Prambanan in the distance, a juxtaposition of natural and human-made wonders that perfectly encapsulates Java's unique appeal. These volcanic landscapes aren't just scenic viewpoints, they're windows into the powerful geological forces that have shaped this island and continue to influence its culture, agriculture, and daily life. Java's volcanoes remind us of nature's dual capacity for creation and destruction, for terror and beauty. They are the foundation upon which all of Java's other wonders rest. These volcanic landscapes showcase nature's raw power and beauty. But as we'll discover next, Java's human-made wonders are equally impressive. What ancient civilization created the largest Buddhist temple on Earth? And how did they build such massive structures without modern technology? The answers await in our next chapter, where stone tells stories that have survived for over 1,000 years. From natural wonders shaped over millions of years, we now turn to the incredible monuments created by human hands. Java is home to some of Southeast Asia's most magnificent ancient temples, structures that have survived centuries of volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, jungle growth, and colonial exploitation. The crown jewel of Java's cultural heritage is undoubtedly Borobudur, the largest Buddhist temple in the world and one of humanity's most extraordinary architectural achievements. Built in the 9th century during the Sailendra dynasty, this massive structure contains over 2 million stone blocks arranged in 9 stacked platforms, topped by a central dome. Approaching Borobudur for the first time is an unforgettable experience. The temple rises majestically from a lush green plain, with volcanic mountains forming a dramatic backdrop. But it's only when you begin climbing its terraces that you truly appreciate the scale and sophistication of this UNESCO World Heritage Site. Borobudur is designed as a physical representation of Buddhist cosmology, a stone mandala that symbolizes the path from worldly desire to enlightenment. As pilgrims ascend through its levels, they follow a 5-kilometer path past 2,672 relief panels and 504 Buddha statues. These carvings tell stories from Buddhist texts and offer glimpses into daily life in ancient Java, from court scenes to farming activities and sailing vessels. The journey culminates at the temple's crown, where 72 Buddha statues sit inside latticed stone stupas, gazing out over the surrounding landscape. The central stupa represents nirvana, the ultimate goal of Buddhist practice. Standing here at sunrise, as golden light bathes the ancient stone and morning mist swirls around the distant volcanoes, it's easy to understand why this site has drawn spiritual seekers for over 1,000 years. What makes Borobudur even more remarkable is that it was lost to the world for centuries. Following Java's conversion to Islam and a series of volcanic eruptions that buried parts of the structure in ash, the temple was abandoned and gradually reclaimed by jungle. It wasn't until 1814 that British administrator Thomas Stamford Raffles learned of its existence and organized efforts to clear the site. Just 25 kilometers from Borobudur lies another architectural masterpiece, with a very different character. Prambanan Temple is the largest Hindu complex in Indonesia, built in the 9th century shortly after Borobudur. Where Borobudur is circular and meditative, Prambanan reaches dramatically skyward with sharp, towering spires that seem to pierce the heavens. The complex consists of 240 temples arranged in concentric squares, with 3 main shrines dedicated to the Hindu trinity of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. The central Shiva temple rises 47 meters high and contains remarkable statues, including a 4-armed Shiva and his divine consort, Durga. Prambanan is also famous for the stunning Ramayana ballet performances held at an open-air theatre with the illuminated temples as a backdrop. These performances bring to life the very same Hindu epic that is depicted in detailed relief carvings along the temple walls, creating a profound connection between past and present. While Borobudur and Prambanan draw the most visitors, Java contains numerous lesser-known temple sites that offer equally fascinating glimpses into the island's spiritual history. In the Dieng Plateau, a volcanic complex in central Java, you'll find Indonesia's oldest Hindu temples dating back to the 7th century. Set amidst geothermal features, including colored lakes and bubbling mud pools, these simple stone structures preceded the grand architectural developments at Prambanan. Near Yogyakarta, the often overlooked Candi Sewu is actually the second largest Buddhist temple complex in Java after Borobudur. Its name means 1,000 temples, though it actually comprises 249 structures spread across nearly 200,000 square meters. Without the crowds that sometimes fill Borobudur and Prambanan, Sewu offers a more contemplative experience among equally impressive ruins. Another hidden gem is Candi Sukuh on the slopes of Mount Ijen. Built in the 15th century during Java's transition from Hinduism to Islam, this unusual pyramid-shaped temple features explicit fertility symbols and carvings that more closely resemble Mayan art than typical Javanese styles. Some scholars believe it represents a revival of pre-Hindu indigenous beliefs during a time of religious change. What's remarkable about Java's ancient temples isn't just their architectural splendor or religious significance. It's how they demonstrate the island's long history as a crossroads of cultures and ideas. These monuments show how Indian concepts were transformed through Javanese creativity, creating distinctive expressions of universal spiritual themes. They also reveal Java's historical religious diversity and syncretism. For centuries, Hindu and Buddhist traditions coexisted and blended on the island before the arrival of Islam in the 15th century. Even today, elements of these ancient beliefs persist in Javanese cultural practices, creating a unique spiritual landscape found nowhere else. While these magnificent temples have stood for centuries, Java's natural landscapes offer wonders that have existed for millennia. Coming up, we'll discover pristine islands where time seems to stand still and hidden waterfalls that few tourists ever see. What's the secret location where you can swim in emerald waters beneath towering cascades? The answer lies just ahead. Beyond Java's smoking volcanoes and ancient temples lies another dimension of wonder, one where nature expresses itself in lush rainforests, pristine beaches, and cascading waterfalls. Despite being Indonesia's most developed and populous island, Java still harbors natural paradises that rival any in Southeast Asia, many of them overlooked by international travelers. Let's begin our exploration of Java's natural treasures with the Karimunjawa Islands, an archipelago of 27 coral-fringed islands in the Java Sea. Located approximately 80 kilometers northwest of Jepara, these islands offer a vision of tropical perfection that seems impossible to find on an island home to nearly 150 million people. Karimunjawa's main appeal lies in its crystalline waters and exceptional marine biodiversity. The archipelago forms a national marine park protecting 110 square kilometers of coral reef ecosystems. Snorkelers and divers can explore underwater gardens teeming with over 400 species of coral and 242 species of reef fish. Sea turtles glide through the clear waters, while manta rays and dolphins make occasional appearances in deeper channels. Above water, Karimunjawa's white sand beaches remain relatively undeveloped. with just a handful of small resorts and local homestays. Inland, hills covered in tropical forest provide habitat for rare birds, and the endemic Karimunjawa deer, for travelers seeking a genuine island paradise without the crowds of Bali or Thailand. Karimunjawa represents one of Java's most precious hidden gems. On the opposite end of Java, stretching across its westernmost peninsula, lies another remarkable natural sanctuary. Ujung Kulon National Park encompasses 1,206 square kilometers of pristine lowland rainforest, swamps, and coastal ecosystems. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is one of the last remaining examples of the original rainforest that once covered much of Java. What makes Ujung Kulon truly special is its status as the final refuge of the critically endangered Javan rhinoceros, the rarest large mammal on Earth. With fewer than 75 individuals remaining, all within the park's boundaries, these shy forest dwellers represent a living link to Java's wild past. While actually spotting a rhino requires extraordinary luck, their continued existence adds a powerful conservation significance to any visit. Even without rhino sightings, Ujung Kulon offers unforgettable wildlife encounters. Banting wild cattle graze in forest clearings, leopards prowl through the undergrowth, and dozens of primate species swing through the canopy. The park's coastal sections feature nesting beaches for endangered sea turtles and pristine coral reefs. For birdwatchers, the park is paradise, with over 270 species recorded, including the endangered Javan hawk eagle. The peninsula's remote location and limited facilities have kept visitor numbers low, preserving its wilderness character. Those who make the journey discover an increasingly rare experience in modern Indonesia, a chance to explore extensive primary rainforest where human presence remains minimal and nature still holds sway. While Java's islands and coastal regions offer remarkable biodiversity, the island's interior highlands contain some of its most spectacular scenery. Throughout Java, but particularly in its central and eastern regions, hidden waterfalls cascade through lush forest settings, creating natural swimming pools and photogenic landscapes that seem designed for social media but remain relatively unknown internationally. Among the most impressive is Tumpak Sewu near Malang, whose name appropriately means 1,000 waterfalls. Here, dozens of parallel cascades tumble down a horseshoe-shaped cliff, surrounded by lush vegetation, with the conical form of Mount Semeru rising in the background. The multiple streams converge in aquamarine pools before continuing downriver through a rugged canyon. Adventurous visitors can descend a steep trail to experience the falls from below, where the converging waters create a perpetual mist and rainbow effects. Further west, Madakaripura Waterfall near Probolinggo offers a completely different but equally magical experience. Hidden within a steep, narrow canyon, this 200-meter-high cascade is surrounded by smaller falls that seem to rain down from all sides. Local tradition holds that the great military commander Gajah Mada, who unified much of Indonesia under the Majapahit Empire, used to meditate here. The spiritual atmosphere remains palpable as visitors follow a path that actually passes behind some of the cascades, creating an immersive journey through water and stone. In West Java, Cikanteh Green Canyon offers yet another waterfall experience. Here, emerald waters flow through a narrow gorge whose walls are draped with hanging vines and ferns. Visitors typically reach the most spectacular sections by traditional boat or bamboo raft, creating a gentle adventure suitable for travelers of all ages. Java's natural wonders extend beyond these highlight destinations. The island contains 12 national parks protecting ecosystems ranging from mangrove forests to alpine meadows. Mount Gedpang Rango National Park near Jakarta preserves high-altitude cloud forests filled with orchids and endangered Javan gibbons. Baluran National Park in East Java features savanna ecosystems so similar to Africa that it's often called Java's Little Africa, complete with wild buffalo, deer, and peacocks. What makes Java's natural areas particularly special is how they often combine ecological significance with cultural and historical dimensions. Ancient temples peek out from jungle settings. Traditional villages maintain centuries-old practices of sustainable forest management, Volcanic landscapes considered sacred in local belief systems are also biodiversity, hotspots, and geological wonders. This integration of natural and cultural heritage creates experiences with multiple layers of meaning. As you swim beneath a waterfall or hike through a rainforest, you're not just enjoying beautiful scenery. You're connecting with landscapes that have shaped Javanese culture, inspired artistic traditions, and sustained communities for thousands of years. Java's natural paradises offer not just escape, but also insight into the deep relationship between people and place that defines this remarkable island. As breathtaking as these natural paradises are, Java's cultural treasures offer a different kind of wonder. Next, we'll step into royal palaces, where ancient traditions continue unchanged for centuries. What sacred dance was once performed only for sultans? And how can you experience art forms that have been passed down through generations? The heart and soul of Java awaits in our next chapter. Java's cultural heritage isn't just preserved in performances and traditions, but is magnificently embodied in breathtaking physical sites that combine human artistry with natural beauty. These locations offer perfect opportunities for stunning visuals, while still conveying the island's rich cultural identity. At the heart of Java's cultural landscape lie the royal cities of Yogyakarta and Surakarta, commonly called Solo. Unlike the rest of Indonesia, which gained independence from Dutch colonial rule in 1945, Yogyakarta continues to be governed as a special region under a sultanate, recognition of the current sultan's father's role in the independence struggle. This political uniqueness has helped preserve cultural traditions that might otherwise have faded. The Sultan's Palace, or Kraton, stands at the physical and spiritual center of Yogyakarta. This walled city within a city has been the seat of the Yogyakarta Sultanate since 1755. While parts of the complex are open to visitors, the Kraton is not merely a museum or tourist attraction. It remains a living institution where court traditions continue largely unchanged. On any given morning, visitors might encounter palace guards in traditional costume, court musicians practicing ancient gamelan compositions, or dance rehearsals for upcoming ceremonies. What makes the Kraton especially fascinating is how it maintains an unbroken cultural lineage stretching back centuries. The current Sultan, Hamengkubuwono X, is the direct descendant of the dynasty's founder and still performs ritual duties considered essential to the spiritual welfare of the region. Court artists preserve performance traditions passed down through generations, often training since childhood in highly specialized skills. These artistic traditions extend far beyond palace walls. Throughout Yogyakarta and Solo, visitors can experience performances of classical Javanese dance, an art form characterized by precise flowing movements, elaborate costumes, and complex symbolic meanings. Each gesture carries specific significance, with dancers using subtle movements of eyes, fingers, and posture to convey entire narratives. Among the most renowned dance forms is Bedaya, performed by 9 female dancers representing aspects of human personality and cosmic order. Traditionally so sacred, it could only be performed in the presence of the Sultan. Bedaya performances combine hypnotic movement with gamelan music to create meditative spectacles that seem to suspend time itself. The water palace of Taman Sari in Yogyakarta stands as one of Java's most photogenic cultural treasures. Built in the mid-18th century as a pleasure garden for the Sultan and his entourage, this complex once featured artificial lakes, swimming pools, meditation chambers, and a network of underground tunnels. Though partially ruined by an earthquake in 1867, the remaining structures create a mesmerizing blend of Javanese and Portuguese architectural influences. Just outside Yogyakarta lies Imogiri Royal Cemetery, a hillside complex where sultans of Yogyakarta and Surakarta have been buried since the 17th century. The cemetery's elevated location offers panoramic views across central Java, while its architecture combines Islamic, Hindu, and Javanese elements. Visitors ascend steep staircases flanked by guardian figures before reaching terraced courtyards containing royal tombs. During special ceremonies, the site comes alive with processions of traditionally dressed attendants carrying sacred offerings, creating a living connection between Java's royal past and present. In East Java, the former hill station of Malang retains exceptional examples of colonial architecture set against a backdrop of volcanic mountains. The city's Ijen Boulevard features mansions built for wealthy Dutch plantation owners, their European designs adapted for tropical conditions with wide verandas and lush gardens. Many structures now serve as museums, boutique hotels, or government buildings, their colorful facades and architectural details offering perfect subjects for visual storytelling about Java's colonial era. Another visually stunning cultural site is Lawang Sewu in Semarang, whose name literally means thousand doors in Javanese. This massive colonial structure, built as headquarters for the Dutch East Indies Railway Company, features distinctive stained glass windows, soaring ceilings, and endless corridors lined with doors. The building's architecture illustrates how European designs were adapted to tropical conditions through high ceilings and cross-ventilation. The restoration of this historic landmark has transformed it from abandoned ruin to cultural treasure, with exhibitions detailing Java's transportation history and colonial period. Perhaps Java's most awe-inspiring cultural landscape is found at Sukumaid Beach in East Java, where ancient turtle conservation practices continue to this day. For centuries, local communities have protected nesting sea turtles through traditional management systems that balance conservation with sustainable harvesting. Today, visitors can witness the remarkable sight of endangered leatherback, olive ridley, and green turtles coming ashore to lay eggs under starlit skies, while learning about indigenous conservation knowledge that predates modern environmental science. Throughout Java, traditional villages known as Kampung Adat preserve architectural traditions and communal lifestyles increasingly rare in Indonesia's rapidly urbanizing society. In Kampung Naga, West Java, rows of distinctive homes with bamboo walls and palm leaf roofs sit harmoniously within a forested valley. The community maintains strict building codes and environmental practices passed down through generations, creating a living museum of sustainable architecture. Similar villages like Desa Y Rebo feature unique conical communal houses that seem to emerge organically from misty mountain landscapes. What makes these physical cultural sites so remarkable isn't just their visual appeal, but how they represent the intersection of human creativity with natural environments. Whether royal palaces, colonial buildings, agricultural landscapes, or traditional villages, these places tell the story of how Javanese culture has continually adapted to and transformed various influences while maintaining its distinctive character. As we've journeyed through these cultural marvels expressed in physical form, we've seen how Javanese creativity manifests in buildings, landscapes, and communal spaces. But how did these same creative principles shape Java's urban environments during colonial times and beyond? Our next chapter reveals the fascinating story of how Java's cities developed their unique character through centuries of cultural exchange and adaptation. While Java's natural and ancient wonders rightfully claim much attention, the island's urban landscapes contain their own unique marvels. Java's cities tell the story of the island's complex history, from indigenous kingdoms to Dutch colonization to independence and beyond. For travelers willing to look beyond initial impressions of traffic and density, these urban centers reveal fascinating layers of architecture, cuisine, and culture. Let's begin in Jakarta, Indonesia's massive capital that sprawls across Java's northwest coast. With a metropolitan population approaching 30 million, Jakarta can initially overwhelm visitors with its scale, traffic, and seemingly endless urban development. Yet hidden within this megacity are remarkable pockets of history and culture that provide insight into Indonesia's journey from colony to global power. The heart of Jakarta's historical district is Kota Tua, the old town where the Dutch established their colonial headquarters nearly 400 years ago. Centered around Fatahillah Square, this district preserves numerous colonial-era buildings, including the distinctive red brick Jakarta History Museum, housed in the former City Hall. Nearby, the Wayang Museum celebrates Indonesia's puppet traditions, while the Fine Art and Ceramic Museum occupies the former Court of Justice. What makes Kota Tua fascinating isn't just its architecture, but how it illustrates Jakarta's evolution through the centuries. The square where tourists now ride colorful rental bicycles was once the site of public executions. Buildings that housed colonial administrators now showcase Indonesian cultural achievements. The area represents both a painful colonial past and its reclamation through independence. For a different perspective on Jakarta's history, the national monument called Monas rises 132 meters above Merdeka Square, marking the spot where Indonesia's independence was proclaimed in 1945. The monument's distinctive shape, resembling a flame-topped lingam symbol, combines modernist design with traditional Indonesian symbolic elements. From its observation deck, visitors gain a rare bird's-eye view of the sprawling metropolis, helping make sense of its enormous scale and layout. Jakarta also showcases Indonesia's religious diversity. Istiqlal Mosque, the largest in Southeast Asia, stands directly across from Jakarta Cathedral, a spatial representation of Indonesia's principle of religious tolerance. In the city's northern districts, Chinese temples like Jin Dayuan have served local Chinese communities since the 18th century, their architecture and rituals maintaining connections to ancestral traditions despite centuries of adaptation to Javanese culture. For those interested in contemporary Indonesian culture, Jakarta offers world-class museums like the Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Nusantara, which showcases both Indonesian and international artists in a stunning modern facility. The city's thriving culinary scene spans from street food markets to innovative restaurants reimagining traditional Indonesian flavors through modern techniques. Moving east across Java, we encounter a very different urban experience in Semarang, the capital of Central Java province. What distinguishes Semarang is its remarkably well-preserved colonial district, Kota Lama, Old Town. Here, Dutch architectural heritage remains largely intact, creating streetscapes that transport visitors back to the Netherlands East Indies era. Throughout Kota Lama, former warehouses, offices, and residences have been restored and repurposed as cafes, galleries, and museums. Distinctive Dutch architectural elements, adapted for tropical conditions, such as louvered windows and interior courtyards, demonstrate how European designs were modified for Java's climate long before modern air conditioning. What makes Semarang's colonial heritage particularly interesting is how it reflects the economic history of Java. The city developed as a major port and commercial center, with different architectural styles, marking various phases of Dutch colonial enterprise from the early trading company period through industrial development. Unlike purely administrative colonial cities, Semarang's built environment shows how commerce shaped colonial urban planning. Throughout Java, smaller cities offer their own distinctive variations on colonial urban heritage. Bandung in West Java is renowned for its Art Deco architecture from the early 20th century, when the Dutch briefly considered making it the colonial capital. Malang features garden city planning with grand boulevards and public parks designed by Dutch urban planners. Surabaya preserves both colonial structures and buildings from Indonesia's early independence period that show the transition from European to indigenous architectural influences. What unites these urban landscapes is their representation of Java's unique historical experience. Unlike many colonized regions where indigenous architecture was largely erased, Java maintains strong local building traditions that influenced colonial structures. The result is a distinctive Indo-European architectural style that belongs neither fully to Europe nor to pre-colonial Java, but represents their complex interaction. This architectural synthesis reflects broader cultural patterns visible throughout Javanese cities. Urban cuisine combines indigenous ingredients with Chinese techniques and European influences. Religious practices blend Islamic principles with older Hindu-Buddhist concepts and local spiritual beliefs. Even modern shopping malls incorporate traditional market arrangements and social functions alongside global retail brands. For travelers, Java's urban centers offer more than just historical interest. They provide windows into contemporary Indonesian life beyond tourist districts. Morning markets overflow with exotic fruits and spices. Street food vendors prepare regional specialties using techniques passed down through generations. Neighborhood mosques call the faithful to prayer 5 times daily, while Christian churches hold services in Indonesia's distinctive harmonized hymn style. These everyday urban experiences connect visitors to Java as it exists today, a dynamic island negotiating between tradition and modernity, between local identity and global influences. The colonial buildings and traditional markets exist alongside gleaming skyscrapers and international retail chains, creating urban landscapes as layered and complex as Java's volcanic terrain. What emerges from exploring Java's cities is an appreciation for how thoroughly the island's people have made foreign influences their own. Colonial architecture has been reclaimed and repurposed. Global religions have been indigenized through distinctive practices. International cuisines have been adapted using local ingredients and techniques. This cultural confidence and creativity is perhaps Java's most significant heritage, more impressive even than its ancient temples or natural wonders. As our journey across Java comes to an end, we find ourselves with a deeper appreciation for this remarkable island that defies simple categorization. We've traversed landscapes shaped by fiery volcanoes and witnessed ancient temples that have withstood centuries. We've discovered hidden natural paradises and experienced living cultural traditions. We've explored cities where history is not confined to museums, but remains visible in everyday life. What makes Java truly exceptional isn't just the individual wonders we've encountered, but how they interconnect to tell a coherent story. The fertile volcanic soil that created agricultural abundance supported the powerful kingdoms that built Borobudur and Prambanan. Those ancient temples influenced artistic traditions that continue in today's dance performances and batik designs. Colonial architecture stands as testament to Java's complex engagement with global powers, while contemporary cities show how Javanese culture continues to evolve while maintaining its distinctive character. For travelers planning their own Javanese adventure, a few practical considerations can enhance the experience. The island's east-west orientation means climate varies significantly by region. The dry season from May to September generally offers the best conditions for exploring, though some highland areas remain comfortable year-round. While English is widely spoken in tourist areas, learning a few phrases of Bahasa Indonesia will be warmly appreciated by locals. Transportation infrastructure has improved dramatically in recent years, with modern highways and a high-speed rail line connecting major cities. However, reaching some of the most spectacular destinations still requires venturing onto secondary roads or hiring local guides. This extra effort invariably proves worthwhile, revealing aspects of Java that most travelers never discover. What will stay with you long after leaving Java isn't just the spectacular landscapes or ancient monuments, but the warmth and resilience of its people. Despite centuries of colonization, volcanic eruptions, political upheavals, and rapid modernization, Javanese culture maintains a remarkable continuity and confidence. Traditions evolve rather than disappear, incorporating new influences while preserving core values and practices. As we've seen throughout our journey, Java represents a remarkable success story of cultural synthesis and adaptation. From ancient Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms to Islamic sultanates, from Dutch colonization to independence, the island has repeatedly absorbed external influences and transformed them into something uniquely Javanese. This cultural confidence and creativity may be Java's greatest wonder of all. Perhaps you'll be inspired to explore neighboring Indonesian islands like Sumatra, with its wildlife sanctuaries, Sulawesi with its distinctive cultural groups, or Flores with its Komodo dragons and traditional villages. Each offers its own wonders while contributing to Indonesia's extraordinary diversity. But wherever your future journeys take you, the memories of Java's extraordinary landscapes, ancient temples, and living traditions will remain as vivid as the sunrise over Mount Bromo or the intricate patterns of a hand-drawn batik. Java may not be Indonesia's most famous tourist destination, but for travelers seeking authentic experiences beyond the ordinary, it offers rewards found nowhere else on Earth. Its wonders aren't just sights to be photographed, but doorways to understanding a culture and landscape of remarkable depth and resilience. The question isn't whether Java deserves a place on your travel wish list, but rather, how soon can you begin your own journey of discovery across this island of endless wonders? If this journey across Java's extraordinary landscapes and rich cultural heritage has inspired you, make sure you're subscribed to join us as we continue exploring the world's most fascinating destinations.